have fair comment. Fair comment. So those three subcategories go under privilege. Absolute privilege, qualified privilege, fair comment.
That goes under what?
Under privilege. So under here, absolute privilege, qualified privilege, fair comment. You got it?
Yeah. Okay. No, that's not bad. Okay.
I do second class.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
Qualified privilege.
And then the third defense there is statute of limitations. So truth, we have already discussed. That doesn't really need any further discussion. Truth is the truth, and that's an absolute defense for all defamation claims, right? So now we're going to jump to the second defense, which is privilege. And a privilege is, or privilege rather, is a particular advantage enjoyed by a person, company, or class beyond the common advantages of other citizens. Whatever happens, no one is above them. Alright, so a particular advantage enjoyed by certain people, company, or class that is beyond the common advantages of other citizens. Alright, everybody got that one? That definition of what privilege is in this context? Alright, so now we're going to talk about the first subcategory, which is absolute privilege. Enjoyed by those in a legislative, judicial, or administrative forum, the administrative and executive branches of the government. People in these roles, for people in these roles, there can be no liability for statements they made. For people in these roles, there can be no liability for statements they made, regardless of their falsity or disregard for the truth. One more time. For people in these roles, there can be no liability for statements made, regardless of falsity or disregard for the truth. So in other words, people that are in these roles, they can pretty much go out there and say anything and everything they want, and then, regardless of whether it's true or no, and there is no really liability because of the privilege that their position afford them. Does that make any sense? So sometimes we do kind of scratch our heads. How is this person or these people being able to say these outlandish comments, and how is it that it just gets, unchecked or whatever? It's because, there is this part of the law that protects them, and they can just say whatever they want, however they want, and knowing that it's not true, and they have the privilege. They call it the absolute privilege of not being questioned or. So that's why sometimes when you say, but we all know that that's not true. Well, it doesn't matter. Absolute privilege, right? You can still say it. All right? Cannot be sued for that. So everybody got kind of
That ain't my boy.
the explanation of what I just said about the people that enjoy this privilege, they cannot be liable regardless of whether they're saying it's true or no, and whether they disregard this, knowing that it's not true, still say. All right, so that's absolute privilege. Then the second subcategory of the privilege is qualified privilege. This is protection of communication to benefit society at large. Qualified statements are those made. So this is when your local government or agencies, protection agencies, or even some news channels, disseminate information out there, and their intention is that it's going to benefit society. So the knowledge that they are disseminating, they see it as a benefit of society, that people need to know about this, right? So that's kind of their intention. Remember that we talked about one of the elements is that you actually intend is to do harm. Well, here, you're actually are communicating or making statements public with the purpose of actually benefiting society, if you will, right? So you can see the difference, why this will be kind of a qualified privilege, and people making the statements will be protected, right? So they are qualified statements, they are made without knowledge of falsity. So again, they didn't think that what they were communicating to the community was false. They didn't think. They thought it was beneficial for the community, but they didn't know that it was false, right? By a person with reason to communicate this statement, again, your officials, your people in charge of your agencies that are probably in place to protect you or to benefit you somehow, so people that are in charge to do that communication. And then they just communicate the message only to people with an interest of knowing. Communicate the message to people with a justifiable interest in knowing. So again, just making sure that they're kind of targeting the members of the community that they think needs to know this information. Does that make any sense? So they're not just going and randomly public making statements public just to everybody and anybody, right?
Can you repeat that one more time? Communicate the message.
The third one, communicate the message to people with a justifiable interest in knowing. Communicate the message to people with a justifiable interest in knowing. So that's another way of saying you are disseminating this information on a need-to-know basis, right? So you're kind of doing it out there just to those who you think actually need to know or have an interest in knowing, right? Because you're going to be affected by this situation, issue, or matter that we are communicating about. Does that qualified privilege make sense? Everybody understand this? Gets it? Good? Need to spend a little more time on it? All right. And so the third subcategory under privilege was very common. Yes. So this is a form of qualified privilege applied to news media publications. So remember that the other one we're talking about agencies and government agencies and community organizations, that type of thing. Here we are kind of zeroing, especially on the news media, on the news media publications, right? So it relates to discussions of issues that are of concern to the community, because they affect the interest of the whole community. So again, it's kind of the same notion, right? Here we're just talking about that it pretty much apply for the news people, if you will. So it's the same, pretty much similar to qualified privilege, but applied to the news media publication. So that's kind of how can you kind of make the distinction between the two when you talk about third one. And they do have standards, right? When they make a publication, they do have the standards of fact checking and whatnot, going through the process of making sure that what they are reporting is factually true. When they are not sure, they kind of make that disclaimer. We haven't been able to independently verify that this is true. This is what we're getting as of right now. If they do make a mistake and they catch it, they also are called to report that and kind of say so, right? Oh, we made a mistake in reporting these facts about this situation, and we want to make a correction by letting you know that this is what actually happened, right? So, as newscaster, but they have that leniency, right? That when they kind of, if they get something wrong like that, then they have leniency. They're not just gonna be held, responsible for defamation just right away, right?
You spell color with E.
Queen's English.
All right, everybody good on those defenses for defamation claims, or against defamation claims, rather? All right. So last but not least, before we take off, we're talking about the damages for defamation claims. So we have two categories of damages that can be recovered on a defamation lawsuit. The first one is special damages. And those actually reflect actual pecuniary losses, and remember the pecuniary means financial. So it's financial losses pretty much. Reflect actual pecuniary losses as a direct result of the defamatory comment. So loss of wages or loss of business, right? Like my example with the theft defamation thing, you know, that person didn't get paid while he or she was suspended. Businesses, if you said something about you know, plays, about how they handle their training, and it wasn't true, and then that business just loses clients, right? Oh well, we don't want to go there because so and so is telling us that everybody gets injured there, or everybody gets this and that over there, right? So loss of businesses, right? So anything that you can kind of prove that you are losing money, right? Or if your reputation gets tarnished, and then you pretty much are a public figure that makes your money based on appearances, and then nobody is kind of hiring you because of a comment that somebody made. Again, you kind of claim that that is hurting my ability to make a living, right? So that's kind of the special damages. They are reflecting on actual financial loss resulting on the comment, on the defamation. And then the general damages actually reflect non-quantifiable damages. Reflect non-quantifiable damages. And this is more of that intangible value that people put on the presumed damage to one's reputation, right? It's that intangible that it's more like the emotional side of having one's reputation tarnished. Right? And remember that we already said that also can be, a value can be placed on A because of that I'm not being able to get a job, but there is also that also intangible, non-quantifiable, what you've done to my reputation is something that I can never get back kind of value, and that's kind of what the general damages do.
So how long is the statutory limitations for something like this? So say you do get fired and you can't find a job for 6 months to a year.
Well, remember that usually the statute of limitation for, and it varies with claim to claim, but it's usually 2 to 4 years.
Okay, so that's the average, okay.
All right, questions, comments about any of that? Okay, we shall see you.